no, I never forget. So now you have a few debts, that shit it needs to be paid with.
Hey fighters, Garvit here. And if you're new to boxing and you're wondering, why aren't you getting any better? Well, chances are you're probably making one of these mistakes that I'll be talking about today. And I'll also be explaining how to fix these mistakes, so let's get started. So the first mistake is dropping your hands. A lot of beginners drop their hands when they're punching or when they're moving around, like this. Their hands should be on their face the whole time, not down here. And also, they think that if they're far away, they can drop their hands down and rest. Well, this is wrong, because your opponent can quickly close the distance and attack you. So always keep your hands up here. You want to have your right hand on your chin the whole time and your left hand just in front of your face, so your jab gets there faster. Punching without footwork. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see in beginners, as when they're punching, they should be moving around. They should be moving their feet. For example, 1, 2, you should step forward with it to close the distance. But most beginners just do it in one place, thinking their opponent will come to them. You have to go to your opponent. Another mistake that I've made a video on before is holding your breath. Holding your breath isn't good for you. You should breathe. Breathing helps you keep your stamina up. It helps you recover faster. I want to breathe with every single punch you throw, like this. You don't want to hold your breath like this. This already makes me very tired and out of breath, and you don't want that in a match, as it can lead to fatigue, ultimately you losing the match or even getting knocked out. The mistake that beginners make is throwing wild punches. And what I mean by that is, when they throw hooks, they bring their hand down all the way before throwing a hook. This is not only very easy to see, but it's also very easy to counter. So if someone did this to me, they went down and threw a hook like that, I would see it coming from miles away. I would go underneath it, I would throw like an overhand or something and get them knocked out. So you don't want to throw wild punches. You want to throw proper punches, and you don't want to telegraph too much. So if I were to throw a hook, it would just be moving a little to the left and then bring my hook out. Just this. This here. I don't want to do this. Because this is very easy to see and it's also very easy to counter. So be careful you're not doing that. You want to be careful you don't do that. Another mistake is no head movement after a combo. After you're done throwing your combo, for example, jab, cross, hook, you can't expect your opponent to not respond. He's obviously going to respond after you're done. So what you want to do is be proactive and start moving your head as soon as you're done with the combo. This helps you dodge any incoming punches, and it's just a way to stay safe, and it also helps you move around and get different angles on your opponent. For example, if my opponent throws his jab right after my combo and I were to slip, this is really good for me because I've already slipped, I've already seen his jab, and now I can pivot and I can get him from here. Or I could go for the body. And another mistake that I see a lot of beginners do is not using their jab enough or overusing your jab. You want to use the jab to close the distance, and you can also use it for measuring. And what I mean by that is, if my opponent's in front of me, but I'm not sure if I will land a punch on him, for example my cross, I will use my jab to measure the distance. So I'll throw my jab, see how far he is, and then I could step forward with my jab and land my cross. What I mean by that is, step, and I came forward with my jab, and then I can throw my cross. So this is a good way to use your jab. But most beginners don't know how to use their jab. They're just here, and they're only throwing their cross, or they're throwing hooks, heavy punches, because they think jab is useless. But jab is the most important punch in boxing. And what I mean by overusing it, they're throwing jabs all the time. They're not throwing anything else. This is all they do. This is all they do. They just throw their jab because they're so scared of coming in and throwing other punches. They just want to keep the distance and make sure the opponent doesn't come close to them. But in boxing, you have to take risks. You have to find openings and come inside. What I mean by that is, you could throw your jab, blind your opponent, and then come in. And then from here, you could pivot, or from here, you could just throw an uppercut. So you have to find ways to come in and take risks. You can't be scared in a boxing fight, because if you're scared, you've already lost. And another thing that beginners complain about is getting tired very quickly. And why that happens is, every single punch that people throw is a heavy punch. You don't want to do that. You don't want to make every single punch a heavy punch. You want to set up using light punches and then throw a heavy punch. What I mean by that is, you could throw a light jab to measure distance. If you miss, then you know how far he is. You could step forward and throw your cross hard. And another way you can do this is using feints. You throw your jab halfway, and then you bring it back a little and throw a hook. But then you wouldn't have been able to bring it back. If you keep it light, it's easier to bring it back. It's just halfway and hook. So just there. But if I throw it hard, it's harder to bring it back quickly. And this mistake is done by every single beginner, which is shadowboxing but with no purpose. You're just shadowboxing. You're here. You're doing everything. You're slipping, but you don't have a purpose. What are you training? What are you focusing on? You're doing everything, but that's all in your subconscious mind. What do you want to train? For example, you want to train your angles. You want to practice pivoting. You would think about when you can add angles in your combos. So for example, what I would do is I would throw 1, 2, pivot. These are the things that you think about when you're shadowboxing. You can't just do shadowboxing randomly. You need to have a goal in your mind and then you have to focus on that. Shadowboxing is the time where you can practice skills and then on the bag you can perfect them. So make sure you use shadowboxing carefully, as it is a really important part of boxing. And some beginners complain about getting hit a lot. And why that happens is because they have their chin way too high. They have their chin up here, which leaves them open for hooks. You always want to keep your chin down, like this. Not too low where you can't even see anything, you can't see your opponent. You want to keep it so you can see your opponent and you can throw punches and land them properly. You don't want to have it up here or you'll get easily hooked, and you don't want that. And another mistake related to footwork is being flat-footed, where your heels are touching the ground. You always want to keep your heels a little bit off the ground, not too much, just a bit, so you can bounce around when you're moving. And what I mean by that is, if I wanted to move forward, I wouldn't just do this. I will jump a little. I'll be here. I want to jump around a little. If I were to throw double jab cross, which is a really common combo, closer distance, I wouldn't just do this. Jab, jab, cross. I want to throw that combo fast. So to throw it fast, I have to move fast. So this is how I would do it. Jab, jab, cross. I want to jump. So jumping helps you move faster. But when I say jumping, don't start doing this. This is not what I mean by jumping. When I say jump, I mean tiny jumps that help you move forward fast. So this video has a lot of mistakes that boxers make, and it's really important to look at them and fix your mistakes as soon as possible. Because once you get into a bad habit, it's really hard to let go of it. Like even till this day, I see a lot of professional boxers still dropping their hands. So you want to be careful and get rid of these bad habits as fast as possible. And your coaches will help you out for this. But if you don't have a coach, you want to record yourself and then look what you're doing wrong and then try to fix it. So fix your mistakes, and I'll see you in another boxing video.